The next thing that I want to talk about is plugins. Now, I could try to go through and give a nice clean from scratch example of each plugin type, but I don't know exactly what plugins you're interested in, and I don't have an unlimited amount of time. So what I'm going to do instead is go ahead and take a look at the sample plugins that are provided with Gazebo. And this has the additional advantage that it gives you a chance to look at the sample plugins that are provided with Gazebo, and then you can see if any of those plugins are already the thing that you need, rather than having to reinvent the wheel. So if we come to the Gazebo source repository, which is on GitHub at github.com/osrf/gazebo, we have the full source code for Gazebo, and this includes in the plugins directory here all of the stock plugins that are provided with Gazebo. Now, there's three specific there are all kinds of plugins in here. I recommend going through the list to have some idea of what's available. There's three specific kinds of plugin that I want to point out. The first kind of plugin is a model plugin. So there's an example model plugin here called the differential drive plugin, and this actually provides differential drive control. And this may even be something that would have been more appropriate to use for the robot models and the assignments. But the general idea for a model plugin and the tank bot tank control plugin is also a model plugin. The idea is the plugin is going to be loaded in relation to some particular model. And actually, let me go ahead and pull up an example of that over in here. So if we go ahead and look at TankBot, if we go ahead and look at the world, you can see that when we load the TankBot plugin in our world, we also load a model plugin, and we load it by the name of the shared object that it compiles into. So if we wanted to load the differential drive plugin, it would probably be lib diffdriveplugin.so. You might have to provide some additional parameters to it, but what this is going to do is it's going to give us some, when we load up this plugin in relation to a model, it's going to give us a couple of topics. A topic called VeloCommand that will allow us to send velocity commands to this model. It requires that this model have a left joint and a right joint. And when we send velocity commands, it's going to go ahead and use that left joint and the right joint to control speed in the same way that we've seen with the robots that we have, although we were trying to be a little bit tankier than the differential drive plugin. Another kind of plugin that is important is the GUI plugin. There's an example of that here in the keyboard GUI plugin, where this will, if we load up this plugin, it's going to go ahead and capture keystrokes from the Gazebo client GUI, and it's going to publish them on the topic keyboard key press, so ~/keyboard key press. And so we could have a client program subscribe to that, and we could do things like keyboard control for our robot, which might be a useful thing that we want to do within Gazebo. We can then see the Gazebo model and use the keyboard to drive it around. We may also want to have a separate window that we pop up with a GUI library and do key commands there. It depends how you want to do it, but the ability to hook into the Gazebo GUI is useful. The third thing that's relevant is sensor plugins. And an example of that is the IMU sensor plugin. So this is going to be a IMU sensor plugin, extends sensor plugin. And we're going to be hooking this up to to our sensor in the SDF file. And this gives us the ability to have events without using the trickery that we showed in the example code for the pose sensor of subscribing to an existing topic. A sensor is able to produce its own events and therefore be able to publish at sort of as quickly or slowly as it wants onto the topics that it's subscribing, that it's advertising and then publishing on. You can see that here in the IMU sensor plugin, that it is going to totally delegate everything, so this is a terrible example. Let's see if we can find another good example here. So if we look at Ray plugin, all right, it looks like sensor plugins are mostly hard-coded. So we'll have to see if we can come up with a better example of that. We may not be able to, but yeah, you should go through these and see if any of them are relevant to what you are doing. So good luck with getting plugins to do what you want.